All right. So before we get into anything serious today, I need to ask you something very important.
Oh, boy. This never ends well.
Brody, how do you feel about mascots?
Like emotionally or philosophically? What are you getting at?
Listen, this is a real struggle because, I'm not a fan of mascots, but today's guest was literally a mascot.
Stop. Like professionally?
Full suit, full commitment, full spirit.
That explains a lot already, for sure.
And somehow that experience makes perfect sense for someone who's now a dean of students.
Honestly, I trust him more already.
All right, roll the music. And away we go. Welcome to the pickup meeting. I am excited about today. This is going to be a good time, don't you think?
I do. It's been a while since we've chatted with this guest, but he's an old friend of both of ours.
I know. And listen, the things that occur in this podcast, allowing us to just connect in different ways. And until we were talking about having this guest on, I didn't really think about the fact that our paths met at different times.
Yeah.
You know, back in the 1900s, you were all connected in some ways. And then much later in life, as I got older and caught up with you guys a bit, we connected. And so this is like a full circle moment.
It is a full circle moment. Miami University, right? Oxford, Ohio, the Red Hawks.
Yes.
The mid-90s. They weren't even the Red Hawks back then.
Yeah, mid-90s, or as I like to call it, high school.
Thanks for that reminder.
It's always age jokes of some sort. So, listen, like the year has started. Yep. I know. How do you transition away from my high school years? I had hair. I was in a swing choir, right? Did a little dancing and singing at the same time. But one of the things that I think that we both struggle with and is pretty real sometimes, procrastination.
Yeah, that's true. Procrastination is a thing. And we're kind of up against it this week, right? We've both got some deadlines going on. You and I were chatting this morning kind of on the Zoom about how, man, I hate being up against it, but somehow, some way we get it done.
I really dislike having a time frame in which something's due and feeling completely overwhelmed by it, but also not doing enough to be proactive in that to ensure that I don't feel that way.
Well, the good news is it's not because we're lazy or we're not good at work, right? Like all that research on procrastination. But I was thinking about this the other day when I share with other folks about procrastination. I always recommend this TED Talk. The guy that talks about the instant gratification monkey and the panic monster. Have you seen that TED Talk?
No.
Oh, it's great. You should watch it.
All right. When we share this episode, you're going to share that link too, and then we'll do that. All right.
The guy tells this great story about writing this paper at the last minute as an undergraduate, and then talks about how procrastination is really about just, we can deal with the deadlines that are, set, but it's the deadlines in our life that aren't set where procrastination can really hurt us. And it's pretty great. Mm-hmm. I would recommend it.
Yeah. I'm going to have to check it out. I like it.
So, Kevin, go ahead. You're good.
I am thinking about this, and we had a story happen that we think is really funny. And
we do.
And we've got to edit this in some ways because the language was a little fierce. But I'm going to lay this story out, and then you're going to correct me with all the things I get wrong that you don't believe occurred. But you and I were chatting before you were heading down to Evansville for a weekend.
Yeah.
And on a previous episode, you and I had talked about this, where one of the things that drives me crazy in life is noise pollution.
Yes. When people are talking out loud on a speakerphone, for example, people aren't wearing their headphones.
Yeah, watching YouTube videos or whatever they think's funny. Yes. Ha, here's a cat video. Look how cute. I don't need to hear it. Noise pollution should be illegal. You should go to jail. But that's where I get to. And that's how this story starts, because
Lock me up.
and I were talking. Yeah, lock him up. He'd be in jail all the damn time. And so Brody and I are talking, and we're having conversations about a variety of things. And in my mind, it happens. He says, "Hey, I'm about to go in the store, just so you know." And I think, well, how nice of him to let me know that he might not be talking like himself. It may feel off. It may feel unusual.
Yeah.
And
I had to get some cat food. So I'm going into the Petco. I go to get the special cat food. I don't have my headphones with me, but
I don't know that.
But like Petco isn't a place where there's tons of people at like 4:00 in the afternoon on any given day. So, we make it work, right? I stay away from people. We're having this conversation. I grab my food.
We're talking about all the things. And then you would say at that moment, "Hey, I'm about to check out. I'm not going to be able to talk for a minute. Give me a second." And so I'm sitting here. It was in my office, just very calmly talking. And then the person says, "That'll be $75.74." And without hesitation, I say, "Gosh darn," except I don't say "gosh darn." I say "GD. Is that cat food made of effing gold?"
Yes. And to everybody in line, to the cashier.
To everyone. At which point it just goes to complete silence. Complete silence.
The lady's face is priceless. You couldn't see it.
No, but I can hear it.
The first words out of her mouth were, "Well, I think it's going to feed your cats for a few weeks."
Like, she thought that I was your angry partner in life.
Yes.
And that you were coming home with way too much cat food. And she was trying to save you in that moment.
And so we all had a great laugh.
Wait, that's the end of the story?
I'm going to jail. Remember? That's the end of the story, right?
There's not a person I've told that story to that they're not like, one, that's a pricey cat food purchase. And two, that have said, you all are out of your minds. And noise pollution is a jailable offense.
How many years do I spend in jail for that?
For that particular one? I mean, it was a Petco. So let's do 30 days.
Okay.
30 days in jail.
Noise pollution jail.
I love the cat noises there.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Closest I can get is somebody allergic to cats.
We did literally laugh about this for 30 minutes. I had a headache when I got home. I was laughing so hard.
It's still funny. I just told somebody while I was at lunch, and they're like, "That's an amazing story." And that you guys should not, tell the full language version of that. Hey, so as we pivot closer to our guests, this was a surprise moment for us because I thought the noise pollution thing you would remember. But what are moments that still leave you in feels that surprise you? Like, that was one that I didn't expect to be laughing and crying so hard that day. What are the feels moments that can still kind of surprise you?
I'm going to turn this back on you because you were talking about graduation the other day.
Oh, graduation's the best. It is the best time of the year. And there's not a single time. The president here at UCA, President Houston Davis, does something at commencement ceremonies where he'll have graduates stand up and then he lists certain things. And you're sitting on stage and he says, "If you're a first-time graduate, first-generation student, please rise." And you see the groups of folks stand up, and you can see something different in their face and their eyes. And every time I just get the feels, sometimes emotional, just get tears in my eyes. It is such a powerful moment.
Yes. And I feel differently about graduation. Because from 2007 to 2020, I was in the platform party of every graduation ceremony at the University of Southern Indiana.
What an honor, I would say.
Oh, 5 ceremonies a day, plus the graduate ceremony. I mean, my 2 daughters both graduated from the University of Southern Indiana, and my 2 favorite graduations, as it should be, were the 2 where I was sitting in the stands watching them graduate. And I definitely felt something on those days. So I can agree that as a ceremony, it's fantastic. But if I don't go to another graduation where I'm not celebrating my kid or my grandkids' graduation, it'll be just fine by me. Just fine.
Listen, in those moments, it's good to know that there are people on the stage that are sitting there going, hey, I know you've worked hard for 4 or 5, 60 years, but can you hurry this thing along?
Kevin, I'm telling you, one of the things we used to do is the readers would read the names, and you'd have different readers from time to time, year to year, and you'd be sitting next to your person and you'd go, oh, come on now, read a little faster. And I love graduation. I love what graduation means for students. Let me give you an example, right? This got me in the feels. We had 10 student support services, 10 TRIO graduates graduating in the fall here. And our project director asked me to come to the luncheon that they do for these students, and listening to them tell their stories about how TRIO impacted them and what they're going to do next. Now that gets you. And I was just in awe of what these students have accomplished, and just, it left me in the feels for sure. And so that stuff I love, right? Like hearing the stories, and making sure that we honor those stories and those accomplishments really do matter a lot. I just prefer to not do it at the graduation ceremony.
So stories and overcoming, powerful, pomp and circumstance.
Less powerful.
Thumbs down from
Yes.
Brody Brochures. Got it. Well, we're all thumbs up here on our guest today.
Yes, we are. No doubt.
And I would say that we're really, really pumped to have with us Rodney Mondor, the Associate Vice President for Student Affairs and Dean of Students at the University of Southern Maine. Rodney and I have known each other for off and on 10 to 12 years, I think, in that range. Yeah. And Rodney brings a deep experience in student affairs leadership, crisis response, and student well-being. And he also happens to be one of the most unexpected backstories, and it hits me every time. And yes, it is fully Mascot related, but it hits me every time. But Rodney, we are so glad to have you here on the show.
It's great to be here. Everything sounds, you hear me clear enough, yo?
Oh yeah.
That's good.
You're great.
You're great.
You guys are killing me. I do have to say one of the things, I was on the stage party. I read names for like 7 years, and now I'm the co-chair for commencement. So I run the whole thing. So,
oh my gosh. It does too.
Same thing, right? Like I love this season. This on Saturday, our commencements were Thursday and Friday. On Saturday, I'm sitting there scrolling LinkedIn, and I typed in hashtag commencement so I can see like other schools' banners and different things they're doing, because I'm trying to get better.
So funny story on that. You know, like when you're driving on the road and you see the construction workers, and they're like, there's like 4 people in the hole and 5 people standing outside scratching their head, and you're like, What are they doing? I realized as the co-chair, and I love our facilities people and the union workers of the Civic Center who put it together, but I literally have to stay there as they're raising the seal and go, you know, that's not center, right? You're like, well, like, do you not see it? And I have to like watch everything.
Move it 6 feet to the left.
Kevin, I was thinking about this. Maybe it's PTSD for me. Like my graduation ceremony at Indiana University in 1993, it was like 95 degrees at 10 o'clock in the morning. We were in the football stadium, which means on the ground it's probably 110 degrees. And the keynote speaker was this famous musician from Russia who I don't think he spoke English the whole time he talked. Like, I'm like, what am I doing here? Congratulations on your 4 years of hard work. Here, now go sit in 100-degree temperatures with a big regalia and your hat and your mortarboard, and congratulations. And by the way, here's a speaker that you're not going to understand.
You know what, though? This was really what was happening. It's like, oh, yeah, you think you're smart? Do you speak Russian?
Yes, it's true.
No,
Go
you
back
do
to
not.
school.
Yeah,
and then
get a master's degree.
And of course, you know, you follow all the social media on IU. Right now, you see like Hillary Clinton speaking, and you know all these
Mark
things.
Cuban
Mark Cuban speaking, and I'm like, I got the famous Russian musician. Fantastic.
You did well. Listen, they knew that you were gonna want to buy an album someday of the famous Russian musician.
Exactly.
Rodney, it's been a few years, and so I think that folks that know you may not know about the journey you've been on. And so our connection occurred after you and Brody's in grad school timeframe. But, you know, you've transitioned from roles in advising and now more heavily in student affairs, and your current position as an AVP and Dean of Students. How did you get here? How did this happen?
Yeah.
If you wait long enough, I think, you know, everyone else just disappears and you're left standing.
Dean of Students, last man standing.
That's great.
Standing. You know, be careful what you wish for, because when I interviewed for grad school, I was at University of Louisville interviewing for their program, and I didn't get in. But they asked me where I saw myself in 10 years. And I was like, oh, Dean of Students at a small liberal arts school. And they're like, why that? And I said, I want to be with students and help students. I don't want to deal with all that administrative BS, which I think is why I didn't get into Louisville. But fair enough. I was like, okay. But here I am. You know, it took me 25 years, but, you know, not 10. I think part of it was, in the course, all my positions in higher ed really were being prepared when opportunity knocked. And so I didn't know what I wanted to do going to college. And my senior year, my dean of student activities just asked, well, what do you like? And I said, I like what I'm doing now. I was an RA, I was a Senior School Honor Society, I was a Student Alumni Association, I was I was doing all this. I was the BMOC. He's like, well, you know, there's this profession, you can go get your master's. I went, what? So I went and took my GREs and boom, boom, boom. And then it just kind of, I got a lot of no's because of my undergraduate GPA. And I ended up at the University of South Carolina for my master's program. But in that I had some time in between, and in January of 90, I think it was January of 90, I went over to Miami to visit a friend who was a college buddy who was going to school there, John DeRoss. And while I was there, the hall director of Brandon Hall quit, and they needed an RD. And I was like, I was an RA for 3 years and a lead RA for a year, and they're like, boom. And so I basically didn't go back to Maine and got that job. So it was always these weird opportunities, just kind of freak. And I started at the University of Southern Maine 28 years ago. And I was walking, I was at an ATM and I ran into someone. I said, hey, what's going on at the university? I saw a story, and they said, you know, they need someone like you who's got this Greek life, student leadership, and understanding. They're trying to really work with the program there, and they had a failed search. You should go talk to the dean at that point. So I sent him, and this was in the 90s. So this was before really email and all that stuff. So I called and met with him, had coffee, and the next day he said, the job's yours. And so I was like, okay. So I was the director of Greek life and leadership development. And then the university was in change. And every time there was change, they said, we need someone to kind of do this. And I literally said, I can do it. Yeah. And I moved into activities, and I was assistant dean of students. And then they said they need someone in the career services to kind of talk about professional life development and how to use your education and how to prepare. And we were going into a new core curriculum, so they wanted me to kind of use that. So I moved over to career services and started going to classes to talk about how to use the core to explore and figure that out. And from there, I popped in between after graduate school, I did end up back at Miami. And so I was working as a first year advisor, and that's where met Brody and all of the others, and went through this incredible experience. It was an incredible time. But that period really was influential, because when I applied to advising, they knew me, but they only knew me from the career side and they're like, oh, you'd be great if you had academic advising experience. And then they read my resume and like, boom. And so that's how I got into advising, and I did that for 12 years. Then we had more changes, and they said we need someone to take our orientation program and revamp it. And I was like, I'll do it. And that was my focus. And so it was just kind of those things. And then we had a dean of students switch over, and we had an interim, and then the interim pulled out. And so I kind of like applied and was like, I'll keep it quiet. And if he doesn't stay in, I will push for it. But otherwise, he pulled out of the search. So I said, well, I'm in it. Actually, I was not the first choice. So I kind of, again, it was, they had four candidates. I was number 4. They brought 3 to campus, and they told me this, right? And then all of a sudden they called me in. They says, well, one of them has left, dropped out of the search. So now you're number 3. So we'll bring you in. I was like, okay. And then I interviewed, and they offered it to someone else. And then all of a sudden the next day, that person rescinded their acceptance and said, no, I've decided not to take the job. And so I get called in. I was like, you're the dean. And I was like, if you want it. I was like, okay.
Wow. I tell you your story, right? And like, I remember this from our time in NACADA, because I think some of the NACADA involvement is similar to what you're talking about from career, is that you raised your hand, right? Like you said, oh, I'll do that. Oh, you need help here? I'll be here. And so there's like a story of like persistence and doing the extra things that stand out to points that when opportunities come along, you are considered and thought of and wanted and desired, and all of that's great. The other thing that stood out to me is that I felt like a freshman there for a minute, because I had to think what BMOC meant. And then I got to big man on campus, and I was like, oh, okay. It really took me a while, that answer. And so I felt like that freshman that was learning things and all the code, and all the talk and BMOC. I was like, I don't know what that is, but I'm going to find it in my head and figure it out in this very moment. So for listeners at home, BMOC, big man on campus.
You know, Rodney, I was thinking about Miami. Like, I think about my professional life a lot. And those positions, those RD positions in the 90s where you were doing academic advising and housing, I'm like, there could not have been a better preparation for all of the things that you've been involved in. And I'm so grateful for that opportunity. I know that they don't do it that way at Miami anymore, but gosh darn it, right? Running a residence hall, working with RAs, seeing students outside of the classroom, and then also serving as the academic advisor for a certain number of those folks in the halls. Can you speak to that a little bit more, how great you thought that experience was? Because you mentioned it early in your response, and I just loved my time there and that work so much.
I would have probably done that job forever if there. I think for me, the part of it was that component of understanding the whole student. So as a hall director, you spend a lot of time to Kevin, who, broke a window because he might have had a little too much to drink Friday night. And now we're dealing with it the next day, versus having the academic side where it's Kevin who broke the window Friday night after a few drinks, who grades have been slipping or is in a major that they don't want, which we saw a lot of that at the time in Miami. And so there's a lot of struggle. So you've had this well-rounded picture. And that has always been kind of like my mantra of understanding, like it's more than just what is presented to you. It's like to ask the follow-up questions and what have you. And that was really interesting, was when I defended my my master's comprehensives with my faculty advisor and another advisor. They were trying to get some information, and they read the question wrong. So they asked me a question that wasn't relevant to the actual comprehensives. And when I called them out of it, I think they got pissed. And so they decided to ask me some arbitrary question. They said, oh, well, now that you're going, because I already had my job at Miami before I finished my graduation. And they said, if you're going to Miami, what event that happened in the 20th century will influence you? And I was like completely thrown off, because I've been doing all this other history stuff. And then they were like, Kent State. And I said, the riots. And he goes, oh, yeah. How do you think that's going to apply to you at Miami? And I'm like, well, if it will, but it probably, yes. I said, well, that a student sitting in the classroom is not just that person sitting there. They bring a lot of baggage. They bring stories. They bring that. And that's how it's always impacted me. And Miami was perfect for that. And I try to do that every time I meet with students, it's like, don't take what's presented, but go deeper and see if you can figure out what's up. And that was the best part of working at Miami, I think, was that experience.
This is also one of these things for our listeners today, that sometimes the questions don't have to be so complicated. What event of the 20th century? Like, what if your answer was like, well, the Great Depression? What are we doing here?
Well, World
War II.
Well, my follow-up with when they were said it, I'm like looking at it, I did go finally, I went, I give up. Did something just happen in the news? I'm so brain dead right now.
Is there supposed to be a right answer here, or are you just judging me? Like, come on.
Yeah. Well, I know afterwards they had a scotch. Just basically made me wait 15 minutes in the hallway, brought me back in and said, you pass. And I was done. Like, woohoo!
The 1900s, man. Kevin, you just don't understand.
I don't. I kept thinking about this story that was like, well, 5th grade was cool at that point. You know, I don't know.
Free internet education, man. Super fun.
That's right. Rodney, you're also in a position right now that I have a great deal of admiration and empathy for. I think that's the right phrasing. There are probably other words that would fit here. Because I think that what you do is one of the worst jobs that you can have on campus, because it's so hard. And the layers, right? From even when you said 25 years ago that this is what you wanted to do, 25 years later, the amount of policy and procedure and documentation and discipline and judicial and all of these things that it's become. So I asked that terrible intro part of this question to get to this point. What are the things that you love about your job that balance out those things that we all know are not easy parts that, you know, are those top priorities that you have?
I'm big on being proactive as much as possible instead of reactive. So like trying to figure out what students need to know and help them beforehand. One of the things that has always been a part of me, and part of it's because I'm ADHD, diagnosed, I can't sit still, is that I always am walking around campus. Always going to offices. I prefer it. I hated Zoom land. It's crazy. But I love that I can just walk around. I walk around the dining hall. I go see students. They come to me, and I get to hear their stories, you know, the good and the bad. So the good times is I get to hear the good stories more when I'm walking around campus versus them coming to my office, because then it's always bad. And we're like, okay, how do we fix this? And, you know, I wish I was a serious drinker, but I'm not. So I don't go home and say, take one. I go to the gym. But it's really being able to connect with the students and hearing their stories. And then when they get an aha moment, you know, and for me, it was literally December of my senior year when finally someone said to me, well, what is it you like doing? Not what do you want to be when you grow up, but what is it you like to do? And so that is the part of it, talking with students and kind of watching them grow and seeing them go from that first year to their senior year. So I love it. You know, orientation and seeing that first day, and then commencement and seeing them, you know, all grown up, so to speak, and ready to go out there and make a difference. It is a tough job, but I do love my interactions with the students. It's just so much fun. And I guess there's points to be having a selfie with the dean and getting it posted on the Dean of Students Instagram. So
that's a win too.
Yeah. We need Matt to take a screenshot right now. Like, let's go. Smile. You know, Rodney, we talked about all of the experiences, your time at Miami, but you've also had experiences outside of traditional administration. You know, we kind of joked about the mascot thing, and you know, Kevin's afraid of mascots, so we just continue to acknowledge that kind of freaks him out. Like, even I think saying the word mascot is maybe not putting him in a good frame of mind, but like things like that, public speaking, acting, how have those kinds of experiences influenced your leadership style?
I was actually just thinking about that the other day, like all the list of things that I have done that I could say I've done without lying. You know, like 2 truths and a lie. I'm like, oh, I could tell you a few things, and you probably, you know, like I danced on Broadway. I met the president of the United States. I what else? The other one. I have an IBDM page. It's like, okay, which are all true. It's like kind of cool. I think it's part of it is taking advantage of life. And so I've always been that way of like, say yes, and I get these incredible opportunities. And so I've always practiced that. And I try to show that. I try to be very public with that to students, to saying, say yes, try things, don't be afraid. You get these incredible opportunities. And all these opportunities were just because I tried. And so I was basically the mascot thing I did a day, like the USM's day at the Sea Dogs, and I said, hey, let's have a barbecue. We'll go to their barbecue area, we'll get staff to go. And so I wore the USM's mascot to do that, and I hung out with Slugger, who their Slugger was as their Sea Dog, and from that, they were like, oh, we like that. Can you come back? We could do another thing with kickball. And I played the games. I said, sure, I'll do it. I mean, I was just having fun. I had the time. Like, let's go. Like young, I'll wear the suit. I did it in college. And then they said, well, we need a replacement. Will you come and audition? So I did. And because I've done things before, like the music they picked, I knew the song and I knew how it ended. And it had this like big bow. So I was acting as if I was, because of my acting, I knew how to engage people and to be that way. And at the end, I knew how the song ended, and I decided to go all for it. And I did like this little star figure as I was spinning everything, and fell right back, almost broke my tailbone. And they said that was the coolest thing, and they gave me the job. And 10 years, I was doing it for 10 years, which is kind of cool.
That's great.
And all right, I got opportunities. Yes,
I got lost, man. You have an IMDb page.
Yeah.
And so you were literally in Night of the Living Deb.
Yes. And see, that was the other thing of just saying yes, is that the director went to college with me. So I knew the director, and he was doing this movie. A friend told me, and again, being prepared is, with technology, I had a face shot on my phone. I was able to send it to their casting director, like on the spot. They say, yeah, come on and do this. I go in to do like, basically just be an extra. The person working stunt says, he knew me. He goes, you used to be the Sea Dog. I said, yes. He goes, can you do stunts? I was like what? He goes, fall back on your back. I'm like, well, that's how I got the job.
So
He said, okay, you're going to be a named character, and they're going to shoot you in the head, and you're going to fly back on a mat behind you. I was like, okay. I didn't ever done stunts. And then that's how I became that character. So I got a named character, and I worked with the leads. He shoots me in the head. But then they called us back, and they said, hey, we need some extras. So I show up. They did some extras, and said, pull me back because you don't see me. I've already done the shot. And on the last day, they needed help, like people all over. And I run into the director. He goes, why are you here? I said, Michelle said they needed extras. If you want, I'm out. And he goes, you know what? Let's make it a thing. Brings me over to makeup, says, make him look different. And then I became a different zombie who chases the leads and eats someone. So it became this running joke that I was like all these different people. And the camera guy goes, oh, we've got the Rodney butt shot. Okay, we're all good.
Rodney played Jerry Sanchez or Chavez, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and Night of the Living Deb. And then this one I like a lot, school administrator in The Witch Files.
Yes.
How much of a stretch is that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, and stressed out. I was a stressed out school administrator.
So just blame yourself at that point.
Everyday Rodney.
Yep. And I had one line, and I knew that the line was instrumental in the story, so it wasn't getting cut. So I didn't care. I mean, I tried my best, but I said, but even if I screw it up, it's got to be out there because my line is key to solving the mystery.
That's so great.
Listen, there's a lot of firsts happening here on this episode.
Yeah. I loved when you said take advantage of life. Like that's a great way to kind of frame all of your activities and the way that we think about students' experience at the university. And it's gotten a lot more complex and difficult for students. There's no question about that. So I was thinking about your role and kind of what you said there. What do you think are some of the biggest challenges in supporting student success and well-being today?
Oh gosh. Yeah, that's a great question. There's just so much more being demanded by our 18 to 20 and even older. I mean, our population, our population at USM is average age is 26. But there's just so much more that is required of them in life. And it's harder for most students to do the traditional go to college for break, go home for break, get back and do that and just focus on that. And they can't. And they are taking care of family, their expenses. Now remember, a lot has changed, and the biggest thing that's changed is that all the requirements is like for like Brody and I, Mike, Kevin, you probably don't know, but Brody and I we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have computers, we didn't.
Those are all true statements, Kevin Thomas.
I know. Back in the 1900s, here we are again.
I didn't have a computer until I started graduate school in 1993.
Yeah.
And you probably were one of the few that had a computer in 1993.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It was a green screen, wasn't it? Wasn't a green screen?
I had a laptop. It weighed like 50 pounds.
Yeah, they were big. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's just there's just so much more is out there. And also there's, with the things that have gone on, the anxiety and stress, and a lot of our students who are just dealing with various accommodations that were swept under the rug maybe back when, back even 20 years ago. And now like these are real, and coming through. And the problem is that higher ed hasn't really changed much since Brody and I were in college. And so, and even going now, it's like, it hasn't changed to adapt to the various types of learning. And I think that is also the challenge, is that it's still traditional, read this and spit it out sometimes.
Because you've sat in so many seats, I'm curious of your approach and technique to this, but what do you see as the key efforts and effectiveness to cross-department collaboration in higher education? I think when we talk to a lot of our guests or colleagues, it'll be like, well, the folks in enrollment management this, or the folks in student affairs that, or, it's just, it feels like breaking down those silos is not always the easiest thing to do, but you've sat in seats in all these silos. So how does that really work for you?
I think it's helped because I know I've been there. And so I know the process, I know their policies, but at the same time, I've been able to make the connection of the fact is that we are all part of recruitment, retention, and enrollment as we go through, no matter what. I'm friends with all our facilities. So as a student, I actually started at USM as a student worker in facilities. Yes. And so I know all the basements, all the closets, it's kind of funny. And so I've worked with them, but at the same time, being able to have the conversations and show the appreciation that what they do is just as important to the recruitment and retention as the faculty member teaching the intro to English class, as residents, all like, it's all important. And I'm constantly trying to make that. I sit in student affairs, but I do a lot of work on the academic affairs side, and I am part of the orientation for all new faculty, and work with them on how to do, it's not to say classroom management, but it's just working with students. And so I spend a lot of time promoting, and I share the stories of how I am successful because of all the other departments that I work with, and help. And it's like, I can't do it alone. I just know who the players are, and I know who to call, which is helpful. But in that, kind of a quick story. I had we were dealing with holds. Students have immunization holds and financial holds. They can't register for the spring semester, which means they can't stay in the residence hall. And so there's all these things. And so I know a lot of students by circumstance, by paper, and I see their picture, and then I see them in person, and I like, this is going to seem really weird, but I know your story. And right. I like, really unique. And so we talked to the student, and so I said, you have these holds. He turned out to be a veteran. There was a hold with his monthly payments. He wasn't getting it, so he couldn't pay his bill. He had to get his shots updated. So immunization, he came to me and he said, I got this part done. What's next? And I said, well, let's get this hold. So I had to make phone calls to veteran services said, I need you to send an email to student accounts to say that this is what's happened. Then he can sign a promissory note that he will pay it when they gets the back pay. And then we can remove the hold for that time and get him enrolled. So then he can now go and register and be able to stay on campus. And we did all of this. And then he goes, oh, I don't know. Is this something you can help me do? I have to have surgery on a tumor and I'm going to be out in February, but I can't, I'm going to live on campus, but I can't be commuting. Is there a way I can be in this hall so it's easier for me to get to and from class? I'm like, you need to go disability services. And everyone was like, it was just like this. And this all happened in our student center, right at a table, dining table. It was cool.
Yeah, but what you're talking about is what we want the goal to be, right? So like your longevity at your institution is key to that. But we talk about holistic approach to student success, student care, student experience, right? And we talk about that wraparound service that can be there. And there are not a lot of people on a lot of campuses that can do what you just talked about. But for those people that are there, they're invaluable resources. They're invaluable leaders. They're good at connecting the dots when the dots have some real long breaks in them. And so, it's you doing your job. It's you managing the silos. It's you managing the process. But for that student, it's ensuring their experience is as seamless as possible so that they can get from point A to point Z in a better time frame.
Yeah, and colleges are complicated, and the problem is that we think we've just been dealing with it. It's like it's easy, like BMOC. Like I use BMOC, and didn't think, Kevin, wouldn't you know what that means? Like those are those kind of like funny examples. We have a parking garage, and I have to remind our parking people. I said, you really need to be at the gate and teach them how to hit the button and talk about where to go. And they're like, it's a parking garage. And I said, if you drive an hour north of here and drive the next 6 hours, you tell me where there's another parking garage this size in the state of Maine. It doesn't exist. I mean, we have students who leave their keys in their car, in their driveway at night. And now we want them expected how to navigate this parking garage. And then they get frustrated. And, that's just the start of everything else. Because you're like, well, who's this? Who's the registrar? What's a bursar? What's this? And you just have to refresh every year. And I think that's one of the downfalls of us in our field is we forget to have to do that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Rodney, let's shift from students here real quick, right? I assume you supervise staff, you work with student leaders. How do you cultivate leadership in those spaces, right? As a supervisor, as someone who might be advising student government or working with the student leaders on Southern Maine's campus?
I do a lot of listening and just like, hey, what's going on? Also, part of it, I try to instill my beliefs is like, raise your hand, try it. I've had some time in the past of people like, well, I'm overworked, you underpay me, I'm not going to do it, I can't do this, and I get it. I mean, there is that time you have to make a decision of what you want to do. But yes, we pay poorly in higher ed, and so, but that is a choice. And if you say that, then it's less likely that I'm going to give you something new to try to dabble in. So I try to encourage staff members to step out, try something new, get into a committee outside of their field, outside of their area. Like hall directors can easily get siloed into just res life, and then it's hard for them to find a job outside of res life if they want to do that. So you've got to get into it. So I'm always trying to find those different opportunities, like work on budgets, work on various committees, and try something, do something in academic side. And of course, take advantage of your benefits if your university is paying you to pay for your classes. Take classes. So, which I've been bad at. So that's like the one thing I have not done very well in my course of my years.
So, Brody, we head into some fun questions, or you got one more?
I mean, yeah, we can definitely head to fun if you want. That's fine.
Oh.
Yeah, well, we're not quite to the lightning round, but we're getting close.
Oh God.
I know,
I've heard about this. It's epic.
So one of the things that I think is super interesting, and yes, this is because I have a completely irrational fear of mascots. But for the love of all that's good, Rodney, like
Yeah.
how did this become to where at certain points you were the Easter Bunny at the White House?
No, I wasn't the Easter Bunny. He does
Okay.
look like that. I was invited to wear a different costume called a Wompke, Wompkee. It was actually made for someone in Maine. They have a book. They have songs about the Wompkes. They're kind of like the Smurfs, but green. And so you could check that out. And we were invited after we did the Macy's parade, invited to the egg roll with the Obama administration. So I did that. I got to do that 2 years in a row.
So you met Obama.
I did.
Excuse me, President Obama.
President Obama and First
I
Lady
don't know
Michelle.
that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
And were you as Rodney or were you as Wompke?
So unfortunately, little quick story. We had special orders that at a certain time we were supposed to get off the South Lawn, and for a reason, all costumes had to get off the South Lawn. I got stuck in this pin area with kids and lost track of time. And then I was told, do not move. And it was when President Obama and Michelle Obama came on the ground, and I was told I had a red dot on my head the entire time. I was like, okay. And I just sat on a hail bale and did not move.
So if you saw President Obama now, you'd be like, you don't remember me because I don't have a costume on or a red dot on my head.
Yeah. But,
wow. That's frightening.
It's not just, and you mentioned it. You've done Macy's Parade how many times?
7. I think 7.
Yeah, this is a lot, man. Like, and you were doing this when you and I were very close and seeing each other on a yearly basis. And I have a complete irrational fear because I don't know who the adult is that's in the costume, and neither did the FBI,
President of the United States,
Secret Service. And so that I find it creepy that you just have some adult in a costume going around and tickling and like hanging out with kids, and we don't know who you are. But it always made it better when it was you.
Yes. Well, and it goes both ways, not to go to, because this could be a whole nother segment, but there's some times where people think I was maybe not a man because of the flips and splits that I would do, and I would get touched inappropriately. So it goes both ways.
Oh my.
Maybe over a drink, we can talk about the.
There's so many layers to this one. Now, did it
I thought the Wonkies were
like
like swoofs. Didn't they have like a show that had like the green Smurfs, and or when the Smurfs got sick, they called them Smoofs? I can't remember. Maybe I'm.
Smurfs were blue, Wonkies are green. Yeah.
Okay.
I
swear they called them Smoofs and they were green too. I don't know.
It could have been the evil ones.
The 80s.
Maybe. Yeah.
I mean, that was a long time ago.
Yeah. There was a lot of LSD in the 80s, I think. I'm not sure.
Golly.
This show has fallen off the hinges.
So I have one more serious question, Ron.
Okay, go, Mr.
Well,
Serious.
We gotta get back on track a little bit. Come on.
Okay.
All right.
So, you've done so much in your career. Who've been those pivotal mentors or influences in your career?
Oh gosh. So the first was Dean Lucy, who's the one who put me in this direction by asking the question. He has since passed. He was the Dean of Student Activities. And I go back to campus and they still have this chair. I believe it. I don't know why they haven't moved it. Maybe for that same reason. There's a chair that's in his old office. And I go sit in it and I go, this is where my whole life changed. And then after that,
this also speaks to the budget issues at universities that you're just keeping these chairs around for this long. So
exactly. And then, the other one is our friend and colleague, Charlie Nutt, who really helped me grow as a professional in advising, and has just been a friend, a colleague, and a mentor, and pushed me. When I needed a kick in the ass, he would give me the kick and the support, and he's just always been there. And I'm where I'm at now because he's like, don't give up, follow your heart. And so now I'm in my dream job. I am. And as I look at that, everyone goes, when are you going to retire? And my spouse says, I don't know if you ever will retire because you love your job too much.
And isn't that a great feeling to be where you wanted to be?
Yeah. Where I want to be.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying you're where you want to be and in the position you want to be in. And so it's nice to finally to get to that point and feel that.
I'm lucky. I am lucky and blessed.
Well, definitely, I think the job earned, and now you're going to have to earn some of our lightning round questions.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Time for the fun.
Lightning round.
Yes.
That's
Here we
good.
go.
That doesn't get old.
Ever.
So, Rodney, I'll ask this first question. Best Miami memory?
Oh, my God. Miami beat Bowling Green after they had a 2-year losing streak. And the students rushed the stage and took both goalposts out. And we were finding pieces of the goalposts uptown for weeks.
Yes, I do remember that. Miami was terrible at football.
Yep.
Brody thought you were going to go food related, I think.
No, that's okay.
No,
All right.
No, that was the best one.
All right, we're going here. Favorite comfort food?
Oh, tacos.
That's a good choice.
Yep.
Are you a morning person or a night owl, Rodney?
I'm a morning person. Definitely. I'm in bed by 9:30.
Whoa.
That's closer to me than it is to you, Kevin. That's for sure.
That's right. Most underrated part of working in student affairs?
Underrated? Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Have you been on call lately? No. Okay.
Oh, I am on call, but when I first became dean, I was on call alone for a year, straight out. So yes, I'm over that.
Best campus tradition you've ever experienced?
Convocation at Miami was pretty cool. I don't know if they still do it, but when we would have the book and we all gathered with the students for that, it was really cool. Yeah. It
was really
I tried to get that back. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
What's your go-to for relieving some stress?
I go to the gym.
That's why you're so ripped.
Yep.
You're stressed out and just getting jacked at the gym. But you've been a runner. I don't know if you are anymore, but you were a runner at some point, and you've been very active beyond going to the gym for those type of things.
Yeah, I did the Boston Marathon, but as a military ruck with a backpack.
Oh my God!
In 2017.
Wow!
Look at you, champ. That's great.
What's the first job you ever had, Rodney?
The first job, like as in the career, or like as in high school?
In life, yeah, sure.
Oh, my first really full-time job is I worked at Welby Super Drugs in high school. Oh, actually, I take that back. I will go as in the military. I was a bagger at the commissary on the Air Force Base, and I saved a ton of money so I could go on a summer trip to France, and I did it all on tips as a bagger.
That's awesome.
Wow.
I bought my first car with the money I earned as a newspaper carrier.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Well, they were cheaper back then.
They were cheaper back then, no doubt.
Preach. One word colleagues would use to describe your leadership style.
Oh, engaging.
Okay. God, that's a great word.
Most meaningful thank you you've received from a student?
Actually, I just got a card. So I do a weekly email called the Dose, Dean of Student Email. And in it, it's like highlights of what's going on, different things picked. And then at the end, I have the Dean Thoughts. And this year, I was writing about various topics, but in regards to, getting out there, being, don't take everything for what it is. Challenge, where does this come from? Find the meaning in things. Don't rely on social media and this. And it was a little political, but not so much. But a student wrote me a handwritten card and mailed it to me saying, I read your dose last week and thought how political, but in a good way. And I appreciated you being out there and putting it out. And I was like the coolest thing that I said, oh, someone's reading it, but they sent a card. They didn't send me an email. They actually hand wrote a card. So it's on my desk.
Isn't it amazing how a handwritten anything all of a sudden just hits you differently?
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's fantastic.
Mhm.
If you weren't in higher ed, what career might you have chosen?
Oh, ooh, I'm stuck on two. But one, I've always had this fascination of being a bartender, which would kind of be cool because you just hang out with people. And the other one is, I think I would have been a pretty cool flight attendant, but it's all because of my OCD components, because I like how everything has its place. And I will sit on a flight and I just watch flight attendants because I just love how everything has a place and goes and click, click, and it's gone. It's like, I'm like, I'm very relieved when I watch them close all the little things.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Like dean of students and flight attendants, two jobs I would never ever want. And Rodney's like, let's go. I'm ready for both of them. Like, I mean, I think about flight attendants all the time. How do they never not spill anything or drop anything? They're perfect in every way. I've never had any beverage spilled on me. I've never seen that happen. Like, maybe I'm crazy, but that job's got to be so hard.
Yeah. I just love, I love the part of the airports, and like on the holidays are my favorite time to be in the airport. I just love the buzz, and it's just so cool.
Well, Rodney, I think it's a good one to end on, don't you? I don't think we
I
can do
don't
better
even
than
know how
that.
to go on from there. I'm speechless.
Woohoo! And there I was sweating. I'm like, oh, this lightning round scares me after I've heard the other one. I had a list, and you didn't ask me any of the ones on my list.
What was on your list? Let's just have a couple questions.
Oh my God, favorite podcast. I was like, oh, Mr. Balance Medical Mystery. You know,
Flight attendants are us.
Yeah. I was like, oh, like last book you read. I was like, had all the lists.
I love it. You're so prepared for this pickup meeting.
I mean, Kevin doesn't read, so that would have been a hard question for him. Dr. Kevin Thomas.
Every day.
Well, Rodney, thanks so much, man. We really appreciate you being on the show.
It's been a joy to have you on.
It was good to see and hear your voices and see your faces.
Yeah,
absolutely. Thanks, Rodney.
Yep.
Listen, when we started this we started the conversation about doing this, early 2025, and I had my list of guests and people I wanted to get on the show. Rodney was for sure on that list because he just has such a depth of experience that it's like, it's not just advising. It's not just orientation. It's not any one thing. It's a collective. And I think that's what makes him such a powerful leader on his campus.
Yeah. What I admire about Rodney is something that I've tried to do in my life, which is, we're all just normal humans, but we're trying to live and take advantage of all life has to offer. And I just really appreciate that idea and that approach that he talked about earlier in the interview, right? Like just taking advantage of life and kind of sucking the marrow out of it. And he kind of embodies that principle so much. When I knew him at Miami, just such an engaging personality, wonderful human, and really a fantastic professional too. Wow.
Yeah. And a mascot.
And he's the whole package, Kevin.
All of it. It makes me say on our top 3 today, we should have done top 3 mascots.
Oh, that would have been good.
It's such a missed opportunity, but I guess we still could, but then I think I'm going to throw you off, so we won't go there.
Oh, I mean, it'd be easy for me, but
yes. What are your top 3? Let's go. Let's go there, All-Star.
The chicken, the San Diego chicken. I think I'd have to say Fred Bird. I like the Colts guy too, whatever that Colts thing is, or the Pacers guy. I mean, I love both of those things. So those would be my 3 real quick.
Yeah, Rodney's throwing in Philly Fanatic.
Absolutely.
Here.
No doubt.
Philly Fanatic's really high up there. My first lean, and future guest Kaiser Lowe, who I would really like to have on the show. He was going to get mad at me at this one, but Big Red from Western Kentucky University. It's a big ball of spirit.
Yes.
You've probably seen it. Fred Bird was on my list as well.
Yeah,
and I agree with you. I think the mascot for the Colts is it Bluey? Is that right?
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah, he's fantastic, and he throws cakes into people's faces, which it seems to be why I would fear mascots. But from afar, that's a good watch. So we'll save the top 3 we were going to do and just go to this one.
Yeah, it's great. I do like that. That's a good way to end. No doubt about it.
Yeah, I like it. And here's the thing. In the end, we're just making this stuff up as we go along. And so if it's a top 3 mascot list, listen, I could have said Bruce and Sugar Bear from here at UCA. We have Bruce and Sugar. Same birth date. That's not weird.
Yeah, we Reggie the Redbird got an overhaul on our campus a couple of months ago. People freaked out. They didn't like his eyes. They wanted the old Reggie back. And I'm like, guys, it's a mascot. He looks dangerous. I like my mascots to look dangerous. Kevin, I know that would scare you a little bit, but I mean, come on.
And I remember this from a time frame at Murray State where the mascot Dunker changed. And it went from Dunker to like steroid Dunker, right? Like all of a sudden it was like, holy muscles, Dunker. Like, I don't think horses are supposed to look like that. Yeah. You've been juicing. It's carrot juice, but you've been juicing.
Or apple juice could work too.
I don't know what horses eat and drink. I have no idea. But I will say this, right? We didn't really touch on the crux of this issue beyond my like strangeness of like who's in a mascot costume. When I was in college, the mascot was down the hall. And I did not know that. Oh. And so at every sporting event, that we're going to use the words SOB, that SOB would come up and would pop my hat off and just, like, it's so funny. Look at me knocking your hat off and taking it and all these things. And everybody but me, I think, knew who the mascot was, and they thought it was all hysterical. Listen, this went on for like quite some time, and it left some real trauma that I work out with my counselor on a very frequent basis.
That is perfectly clear based on your explanation of what's happening. There's no doubt you've got some issues.
I think at one point, even after I learned who it was, they would like take the mascot head, and I would wake up from a nap in my residence hall, and the mascot head was there a la Godfather, right? Like, and it's a horse. Like, it's literally a horse. It just didn't have all the blood and stuff. But, it was a whole lot of layers.
A warning shot for sure, Kevin Thomas. You stay in line. Like, don't mess around.
They're coming at me. Don't mess with Dunker.
Okay, enough about mascots, right? Hey, until the next pickup meeting, keep showing up, staying curious, showing care. Be good, do nice, whatever it is. That's it.